We have now, I think we're at the point where we're going to ask George Whalley, Mike's father, and John, son, come up, and if you could, and any other family members that want to join them certainly are welcome to come up, and we'll do the unveiling, and we want to wait you also. Thank you. We are fortunate to have with us today, well, we can remain, you can be seated, David Lamb, who's the New Hampshire Artist Laureate. David, if you could just stand up over here. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And our very special guest, John Siegel from Wilmot, who is the creator of this fine piece of artistry, and he's going to talk to us for a few minutes. Hi.
Thank you, Representative Chandler, and thank you all for giving me time to say a few words about how I designed the bench. But first of all, I want to thank Representative Janet Allen and Doug Dulcino for their infinite patience throughout this process. I want to thank the New Hampshire Furniture Masters Association for giving me the exposure that brought me here. Jerry Osgood and the Artist Laureate David Lamb gave me advice in the early stages of design. Also, there were several people who helped me in my shop with the assembly, Bob Gagne and Kurt Wenchel. And when it came down to the final glue-up, George Emeny and Peter James were there too. The greatest thanks goes to my wife, Patrice, who doesn't do woodworking, but as always, provided the encouragement that I cannot do without. When I first met with Representative Allen and Mr. Dulcino in this great hall, we sat right about there, and we stared at the spot where the bench was to reside. As I looked at the space, I was at first dismayed that there were no turned architectural details to be seen. How could I design something that tied into the architecture? Then I looked around and saw the wonderful balusters that made up the railing of the visitors gallery, and at that moment, the design for the bench came to me. Well, this is the moment where you can crane your necks if you're not familiar with this room. And there's 126 balusters that inspired the design of the bench. I knew I could duplicate the exact form of these balusters into the back of the bench and create a piece that was obviously made for this room. Now all I had to do was figure out how to stretch a conventional banister-back chair into a 7-foot bench. The solution involved fitting 4 additional intermediate legs, a scroll-form crest rail with horizontal finials, and a seat like a church pew. The bench contains 52 turnings, but many people have asked how I turned the 4 back legs. I learned how to do it from a 100-year-old book. The wood is not bent after turning. It is cut to that shape first and put on the lathe with special jigs. This is too technical to describe here, but I documented the entire process and wrote an article for the Guild Journal. I feel very fortunate to live in a state where there are great organizations like the Guild of New Hampshire Woodworkers, the New Hampshire Furniture Masters Association, the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen, and other groups and supporters of the arts, which together are a powerful force promoting fine woodworking and the community of woodworkers in our state, where the Artist Laureate is a furniture maker. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we have for some closing remarks And I would just say thank you all for coming, first of all. But for closing remarks, I think Steve, stay here.
I'll be very brief. I'm Mike's brother, and on behalf of the whole Whalley family, we all want to thank you all for the consideration and for this memorial that will truly carry a long, long time. It means so much to the whole family. Thank you.
So, once again, thank you all for coming. That concludes our presentation. You're welcome. We don't have to hurry out of here, so come on up and take a closer look and meet some longtime friends and hang around for a few minutes. Take your time. Thank you.